After analyzing thousands of deals, I've seen a very clear pattern where roughly 87% of stalled deals happen because of this one single problem. And that one single problem is we failed to get an economic buyer and or an executive sponsor in our deal. And so there's to me, some really key ways we go about doing this. One is I believe in starting with power. When I do prospecting, when I do outreach, when I spent 10, 15 years in sales in all sorts of levels, SMB, mid-market, enterprise, and I would always figure out who likely would be the ultimate decision maker and go after them first. And then, you know what? I would get kicked down, and that's okay. I had no problem getting kicked down. But I would make an upfront contract with them. And I'd say something along the lines of, hey, I'm happy to work with your team. I'm gonna learn lots of things as I do. What I'd love to do is as we get closer to the end, as long as the team agrees it's a problem that should be solved, I'd like to come back and present my findings to you. And that actually, no one ever really said no to that. And that gave me a lot of movement in the account because now I had permission to go back and no one could gatekeep me lower. Another great play that I used to run is called the executive alignment play. And so that's when I got kicked down and I couldn't go back up, or that is when I started at a lower level or got introduced at a lower level, call it like director or VP level. And so I would work with that decision team or that, couple individuals. But what I would do is I would have my leader as we've gotten, further in the deal. And I feel like, think like stage 3, think like we've built some business case, we've solved the problem, we feel excitement. I would have my leader go to the individual I wanted to meet with, the executive sponsor or economic buyer, and I'd have them send a note, something along the lines of, hey, it is standard practice for us to build relationships with potential future clients. Our team has been meeting and spending a lot of time with your team. I'd love to get to know you and make sure we're properly aligned to your priorities. Some key things there. One is we said, this is what we usually do. This is standard practice. That means we're not going around anyone. This is just what we usually do. So if it ever goes back, which it will, to those other stakeholders, that's been clearly shown in that email and it insulates you, the seller. We're also talking about relationship building and priority alignment, which is something that's very common at executive levels, especially when you're networking. So that's that one. And then the other one that works really well is the business case validation play. And that is where I would send a note to the executive sponsor. And I would say, hey, it's been great working with your team. We've built a fantastic business case I think justifies change now. I'd like to review it with you, make sure it's aligned to your priorities and have you poke holes. And I've rarely ever had someone say, no, I don't want to review the business case for change that you've built, because ultimately executives want to understand that. They often hold a perspective on that. And that is something that is a business conversation that they are uniquely qualified to have. So when I'm looking at deals, again, 87% are lost because we didn't get to an executive sponsor. Those to me are the key ways that you do that. You either start with them, have someone else engage with them, or engage them directly with a business case and really thoughtful business conversation. At the Sales Collective, we teach you how to get to the people who can actually say yes. Learn more at thesalescollective.com.